Welcome back to No Bias Football. I'm joined as ever, Mondays, by Henry Wright. Loads to talk about today with Arsenal owning Chelsea again, but a lot of controversy in that game with non-penalty decisions, handballs, players being punched, counter-attacking opportunities not being given. Chelsea fans claiming that Neto didn't know he was booked. We're also going to take a look at Man United, who have gone third in the Premier League, courtesy of another Bruno masterclass and Benjamin Sesko goal. And we have to talk. And we're probably going to start with a little bit of the Tottenham as they lose again. They sit 4 points above the relegation zone. And you guys could be going, it's that famous garage song. Down, 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 down. Honestly, I bet your missus wishes you were going down like Tottenham. You know what I mean? She'd be an happy lady. Do you know what I'm saying? But listen, bruv, on a level. She's like, yeah, I wish Henry would go down more. No, anyway, probably you're a good enough bow cat. In my opinion, I don't know. I ain't got an opinion. I'm not there, everybody, by the way. I'm not in the corner of the room. That sounded weird. But Tottenham. You were Eric Dyer, mate. You were Eric Dyer again.
Yeah. There's some really alarming stats that are coming out now that we've played 10 games in 2026 and we have accumulated 4 points out of a maximum of 30, got 4 draws and 6 defeats, which is absolutely diabolical. We're in a rut, mate. We're in a rut. And if we don't sort it out, we are going to go down. Thankfully, the teams that are around us are equally as bad. Leeds lost to City. Palace lost to you lot. You did us a favour. West Ham lost to Liverpool. And, of course, Burnley lost to Brentford. And Forest lost to Brighton. But in terms of us, mate, this is the worst Tottenham team I've ever seen in my life. This is worse than the team of last year. Because last year we were obviously deep into the Europa League at this point. We were in the semi-finals of the League Cup at this, just got knocked out of the semi-finals. And we actually had a bit of fight in us. You could see that in the Europa League fixtures. We've got Crystal Palace on Thursday. You know, when you look at the Premier League table with the last 5 games in terms of last 5 matches, we're bottom. We've got the 3rd worst home record in the league. I don't know if you saw yesterday, but when we lost the game, our players looked absolutely defeated. They look like they've already given up. Like, you could see the players. I did a big thing talking about Van der Ven saying he needs to step up. You know, he's the captain. He needs to be the voice, that, you know, the coach on the pitch sort of thing, and try and get something out of these players. And we could talk about injuries until the cows come home, but the players we've got, these 11, 15 players that keep playing week in, week out, they are relegation player standard. I mean, Conor Gallagher was playing right mid yesterday. The only player that can come off the pitch yesterday with his head held high is Archie Gray. And he's a central midfielder playing left back, playing right back, playing centre back, playing DM, playing left wing at one point. You know, Richarlison should have started the game. Kolo Muani has been a diabolical signing for us this season. He's got 1 Premier League goal in 20-odd games. And we've got, just to give you some, you might laugh at this, you might feel sorry for us. Our fixtures between now and the international break are Crystal Palace at home, Atletico Madrid home and away in the Champions League, Liverpool in between the Champions League, and Nottingham Forest. Now, if we lose to Forest...
Is Forest home or away?
At home. I'll say this right now. If we lose to Forest, we go down.
Look, I feel your one saving grace could be West Ham or Forest not picking up enough points, because they don't look much cop at the moment. Although the one thing they do appear to have more than you is fight. They do appear to be fighting a little bit harder. Your players looked so defeated. As you've already mentioned, you look defeated. You look like you were done. Like they didn't want to be out there anymore. And that's been my view on this for about 3 to 4 weeks now, which is I don't think your players have got the stomach for this relegation battle. I feel if you survive, it will be by default. I've got my niece. She comes to all of our family events, you know, birthday parties, weddings, christenings, and her boyfriend, we call him Default, because we say you're only here by default. You're only here because like you're with her, like, you know, because he got involved. It was wind him up, right? It's a bit of banter, but that's why Spurs are going to be in the Premier League next year, just by default, just because West Ham might not be good enough. Forest might not be good enough. So that's what I'm going to start calling you guys for the rest of the season is default, because that's what you are right now. And I do feel sorry for a lot of the fans. Actually, no, let me rephrase that. I feel sorry for the Tottenham fans that have stood up against your ownership. I feel sorry for the Tottenham fans that have been calling out for success. What I don't feel sorry for are the Spurs fans that only care about where Arsenal are in the league. I don't care. I don't feel sorry for all the Tottenham fans funding the mediocrity. I don't feel sorry for the Tottenham fans who stop drinking in the local pubs to drink inside the stadium. I don't feel sorry for the Tottenham fans that celebrate your revenue, celebrate your stadium, but put no pressure upon your ownership to invest that money wisely and correctly. And I feel that those individuals kind of deserve this because you've enabled this behavior. And I think fans are far more I remember your protest and you had 7 people in the banjo outside, and I just looked at it and thought that tells you everything you need to know about the Chelsea fans, the Spurs fans' mindset. So, look, you personally, I feel sorry for you and Kate, of course, and George. I feel very sorry for Expressions because he's definitely someone you can see that pushes for his team to win more. But there's a lot of Tottenham fans who I honestly will enjoy laughing at if you go down, because they've sort of defended this every step of the way. Every time a Spurs fans called it out, shut up, don't be negative. If a rival mentions anything, it's just, yeah, but your club, yeah, but this, yeah, but that, attacks, you know, threats and all sorts. And all people have tried to do is have an honest conversation around Tottenham. Now, I don't think anybody saw it getting to this point, like relegation threatened level, but we've certainly seen your decline over years and called it out and just been abused online for saying so. That all being said, though, I did feel a bit sorry for Tottenham yesterday in one particular area. How was the push in the back on Dragusin not given when it was identical to the foul on Gabriel last week? And identical, I mean, and then you got the Ekatike one that wasn't given. This is where I will defend Tottenham. This is where I will come out and say that something isn't right, because I don't understand for the life of me how that wasn't given as a foul by VAR when they made a massive point last week of giving that foul. Does that make of giving the foul? I know that everybody will say it's a different ref and there's subjectivity involved, but they're exactly the same in my personal opinion, mate.
Yeah, what annoys me is if you look at that one in the top left corner, the Ekatike one, Gary Neville said on commentary that Romero needs to be stronger there, and the PGMOL said that they said something along the lines of it was a contested duel or something like that, and Ekatike won the duel. Then we were told that the Kolo Muani one was a clear. The referee went on the Premier League show with Michael Owen, and he said he saw 2 hands on the back of Gabriel. We can talk about Gabriel's theatrics and whatnot, but that's what he said, so he called the foul. Then 7 days later, to the point of where, as you said, an identical situation, Raul Jimenez has pushed Radu Dragusin. The reason why they didn't give it, apparently, is because he was in mid-air. Whereas the other ones, as you can see, Gabriel, he had his feet on the floor. So surely it's more dangerous to push someone while they're in mid-air because you can't then predict their landing, right? There's more chance of them having an awkward landing and actually hurting themselves. So they don't rule the goal out. And I'm not saying that there is, a conspiracy against Spurs. I'm not saying there's a referee agenda, but that's what it feels like at this moment when you look at the amount of decisions that have gone against us or stupid decisions that we shouldn't have got that have gone for us. I mean, we say it all the time, the amount of inconsistencies in this league, and you don't get this in the Premier League, in the Champions League, sorry. When there's a big VAR decision, they get to the bottom of it in a couple of minutes. And I don't know if you've seen, but the 2 best referees in Europe now, both refereeing Ligue 1, the 2 French referees, and they're going to be refereeing all the big Champions League semi-finals and finals now going forward. What does that tell you about English refs? It takes 5 or 6 minutes the other day where the referee's running down the tunnel because there's a communication error on his flipping headset, for instance. 15 years ago, VAR wasn't around. We would just you just carry on. If there's a decision that's gone against you, just carry on the football. Like, it's so bad, mate. And it's getting to the point where pundits, content creators like me and you are calling it out. But unless there's a clear training plan for these referees and VAR, we've been having this. How long has VAR been in the Premier League? 3 years now? 4 years?
No more than that. About 6 years. It was 29. It came in well before lockdown. It's been around for about 6-7 years.
And it's no better in 7 years than it is now. They've changed
No,
the rules, but
that's wrong.
it's still no better.
I think that's the wrong way to phrase it. It's got worse. I liked it the first 2 to 3 years it was here. I liked how they actually re-refereed the games in the sense. I remember United got a penalty where there was no contact on the ball, and Newcastle player raked the shin of Rashford, and they went back and checked it, and boom, it was given. And you had to like super slow-mo and change the angle, but it was the right decision. I loved it. And then Howard Webb came in. They did this whole weird, we're not going to re-referee games. We're just going to, and all this, like, we're going to go with the referee's call unless there's a massive error or clear and obvious mistake. I feel like that's actually what's killed it. It's not about clear and obvious errors. It's about, well, what decisions did we give last week? We have to be consistent. They don't aim for consistency. You can actually remove an element of subjectivity by that panel in the VAR truck, wherever they are. I know they're not actually in a truck. I think they're in an office somewhere, Stockley Park. I think it may be called. I think it's called. But it's a case of what should have been said to them by an overarching official in that room is, guys, we have disallowed the Gabriel goal. We have given 2 penalties to Chelsea. This is exactly the same. We must disallow it. We must we have to keep, unless we're going to admit those decisions were wrong, but they don't. There was another one at the weekend in the Brentford. No, not Brentford. I think it was Sunderland versus Bournemouth game at the 12:30 game. Bournemouth player, it isn't a push, but it was an elbow and a shoulder into the back. And they classified it as, the PGMOL come out and said it was a natural coming together, which is crazy. So look, Spurs were robbed in that decision for me, and they should be very, very angry. But like I've always said to Arsenal fans, like I'm saying to Chelsea fans after yesterday's game, I think it's right to call out bad refereeing decisions, but you can call out your performances and bad refereeing decisions at the same time. They literally can be exclusive of one another and exist in the same world. So yeah, I felt sorry for you guys there, but you look like you're going down to me. You really, unless a West Ham or Forest new appointment. I think Forest would have kept Sean Dyche. I think they stay up. West Ham, they actually played quite well against Liverpool, to be fair. 5-2 actually flattered Liverpool a little bit, but we'll see what happens these midweek games. I mean, if West Ham go and beat Fulham away and you lose and you lose to Palace, it could be interesting. It could be interesting to see how it goes. Viewers, look, let us know your thoughts. Let us know your opinions. Top of the table yesterday, though, we saw a really ugly win for Arsenal, but a win that, I'll be honest with you, we had a Chelsea fan, Kojo, came on our show after the game, and I have to say, I want to give Kojo a big shout out here if he's watching, because he really praised Arsenal. He said, you know what? I'm paraphrasing what he said, but he went, for years, Arsenal were ridiculed for not being able to win ugly, not able to win when it matters. They would play the better football and the team would beat them. And yet, yesterday it was the other way around, and he praised them for being dogged and for being resolute and for getting through bad moments and coming out on top with a W. The reaction is fair online and from the majority of the footballing world is the complete opposite. It feels like a lot of urine has been boiling overnight because Arsenal won yesterday. And obviously, I know you don't want them to win as a Spurs fan in your heart of hearts, but you're very unbiased. It's why this podcast exists. But Arsenal did find a way yesterday, and it's 11 wins now that Arteta has against Chelsea. It's 3 wins and 1 draw, undefeated against them this season. And they just seem to find a way against Chelsea to come out on top.
Yeah, the only thing that really matters is getting over the line in this sort of game. I actually think Chelsea, in the 2 Premier League games they have played against Arsenal, where they've been gone down to 10 men, I actually think they should come away. There's quite a lot of positives to take there. I thought Reece James was good yesterday. I thought João Pedro had a good game. But in terms of Arsenal, it's not even a rivalry at this point, is it? 11 wins, 11 games without a win. Chelsea are against them, or something stupid like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, in terms of winning ugly, I quite like the fact that Arteta has changed the style a bit in the last few weeks. He's proven that they can go out and bat a team, scoring 4 at Ellen Road, which we saw Man City, play there on Saturday, which on another day, Calvert-Lewin, if he had his shooting boots on, would have been a different game. we've seen them batter teams in the Champions League, but the fact that they've proven to a lot of teams and to a lot of people that they can go out there and win ugly. This is what Jose Mourinho used to do. You know, he used to go in there with an objective of getting over the line, regardless of how you do it. And people used to ridicule him for his football and all that. But that football won trebles with Inter Milan. That football won 3 Premier League titles with Chelsea. I'm not saying that Arsenal are going to go and win a treble or anything right now, but they're 5 points clear. And City have still got to play Villa, still got to play Chelsea, still have to play Arsenal. And, you know, we spoke about this on my channel, the fact that they've got Real Madrid in the Champions League, and they've got a tough trip to Newcastle in the FA Cup. Arsenal are in the driving seat right now, you know, and we could be sitting here where we come to April and they only have to go and get a draw. But winning ugly is just kind of, it's another string to Mikel Arteta's bow, isn't it? You know, the fact that in the first year they went out and battered everyone when Saka, Martinelli and Odegaard got 15 goals. Then they went to a more possession dominant. This year they've kind of switched it up in competitions where they've battered teams in the Champions League like Bayern Munich and Atletico Madrid. But then the Premier League, they've proven they can play on the counter-attack against teams. They've proven, you know, they can play a defensive style approach. And it was the first game in 7 or 8 where they scored from a set piece. Another narrative that you only rely on set pieces in the bin. So, yeah, I mean, a good win for Arsenal. They've got to follow it up and go and beat Brighton. I do expect City to comfortably destroy not Crystal Palace, Nottingham Forest. So it's kind of like a game of chess at this point, isn't it? You win, I win, you win, I win sort of thing.
Yeah. We'll talk on Chelsea in a minute, but I feel with Arsenal, I saw a lot of Chelsea fans on their watch along yesterday kind of do the whole, oh, it's so bad. Arsenal's so bad. It's so ugly. It's so horrible. Cool. Again, they win. And every time they win, there is a sort of a viral. It's almost like people have the drafts saved on their X accounts and it's worst champions ever. They're going to be the worst champions ever, which is really a weird conversation that it started actually last season. I feel that people did it to Liverpool and some Arsenal fans are accountable for that as well. And it's now manifested. This is why I say to people, don't push these baseless, ridiculous agendas because they'll be used against you. And I feel it's kind of killing footballing conversations because everything's just right. Okay, it's one-upmanship now rather than people just speaking honestly. But I also think that provides an opportunity for shows like ours to actually thrive because people want to hear, even though they might not always hear their club being praised if they're not in a good place, at least I think they feel that they're hearing honest opinions rather than just slagging each other off. But this notion of worst champions ever, so what? And it's made me think, I'd love United to be in a title race next year. I'd love Man United to get back to a level where we could win the league.
I'd love to just stay in the Premier League.
But do you know what I realized last night? I didn't really post anything. I was just scrolling and listening and absorbing what people were saying. And I've realized what I want Man United to be the next time we're able to challenge. And it may not be stylistically the same as Arsenal, but I want the reaction they're getting. I think Arsenal fans should be so proud. I think Arsenal fans should be so happy that they are actually injecting footballing hate back into the game. Now, I can't think of a better word for it than footballing hate because I'm a relatively uneducated East London Cockney. And maybe I'm not a good enough orator and somebody will find a better phrase and I'll parrot it, right? That's what we'll do. But I got bored during the Liverpool City Klopp Pep era because all it was, oh, you're so great. No, you're so great. Oh, you're better. No, you're better. And as much as the football was beautiful and some of the title races were great, we missed that needle. And the one thing I'm thankful for Arsenal for in this last few years is needles back in football. In fact, Arsenal have created so much needle by winning games that I was watching Liverpool and Man United fans who are in the top 4 race with Chelsea celebrate the Chelsea goal. That is how much people don't want Arsenal to win the league. That is how much Arsenal are hated. And that is how much people want Arsenal to lose. Now, I don't think it's wrong that fans have these views. I enjoy it. I like laughing at it. I love this. I look at it like a David Attenborough documentary on the BBC, like The Blue Planet or something. I like watching people go, I don't care about Arsenal. I don't hate Arsenal. I don't fear Arsenal. They're nothing to me. And then spend a whole Sunday afternoon ranting and raving about them. I find that it's a beautiful thing. There needs to be a study done. Harvard need to do some kind of, deep dive into it. The media is a different kettle of fish. I think the media need to be more unbiased. I think that the media need to be more honest. And, there's loads of things they could teach us about Arsenal and break down because they have the footage for it. We could all sit there and do it with still images, but they have all the footage, they have all the access, and they should do a lot more. But I realized last night that if Man United ever get back to challenging, I want to be viewed in the way Arsenal are. Not stylistically, potentially, but I want everyone to hate that we're winning or we're top of the league or we could win. I don't want to be, you know what? I love that team, though. Oh, but I love their manager. Oh, but I love their players. I've realized I don't want to be Man United when something I forgot. Maybe I forgot this because you forget things from your childhood. You forget things even from your adolescence and your young adult ages. You forget when you've gone 13, 14 years without being a truly, truly top team. Man United never got praised. And hang on, we're not getting praised now. Fergie had some of the best footballing teams Britain's ever seen. Some of the best teams that Europe's ever seen. But every single element of that is ripped apart now, lied about, fabricated. Right from paying refs, which has no base at all, didn't influence football in any good way. Loads of these champions weren't particularly great. Everybody else's achievements since are better, blah, blah, blah. And I realized, hang on, we were hated in that way. So I identify with that. And when I look at the way Arsenal were treated, it brings back those memories. But if my team ever become great again, if my team can ever just challenge again, I want rivals to treat us like they treat Arsenal, because I would be loving it. The media is a different kettle of fish. The media is a very different kettle of fish in the sense of they should be representing things fairly. You've seen the Premier League today, by the way. Speaking of, I called them out for this. I reckon it would have been my most viral tweet ever. It got stupid numbers in the first 10 minutes that I posted it. But the Premier League directly were trolling Tottenham today. Like there's some troll account on socials.
Yeah, the post was deleted, didn't it?
Yeah, they deleted the post. I'm glad because we have to do more of this. That is what fans should do to each other.
I didn't even get a chance to see the post. Have you got it?
No, they've deleted it. It's just literally Vicario kicking a ball long and it went out. I mean, it just happens to every. By the way, it happens to good teams and good goalkeepers every game as well. And we need less of that from the media. We need less of the BBC saying Liverpool are the new set piece kings and can still have a beautiful season. Arsenal win via a set piece and this is bad for football. We need less of that from the mainstream media, right? Leave that to the problem is they see fan content growing. So the mainstream media goes, we have to copy. The Premier League, think of the power the Premier League has on a socials level and what it can post to get views. And they still resort to trolling like United Trey. Do you get where I'm coming from? They still result to copying fan content. And I think what happens is when you're merging it all together and making mainstream media content, Premier League content, and then fan content all very similar, I think it murkies the water too much. And I know that in the fan space, you want to see a rival be bitter about a rival team. I'm quite an unbiased person, always have been. And I sort of sit somewhere in the mid. That's just how I've always been, right? But I enjoy watching other people do it, and there should be a place for it. But I don't think the mainstream media should do it. There was a big media outlet yesterday that started pushing the notion that Neto didn't know that he was booked. And the footage is there that it's like, hang on, the media shouldn't be pushing that lie. Let a Chelsea account rant about it on a fan cam, and then we all enjoy laughing that it isn't true, right? Like we used to laugh at Ty because he would say it's been raining. We love that stuff. It's funny because it was what it was. It was a fan opinion. It was taken seriously for what it was, and that was it. But now what we get are like the world's most highest paid pundits doing fan content. And I personally think that's wrong, because then you get fans going, oh, I was only being bitter. Maybe I was right. They start pushing it more, and then it becomes part of the discourse. And one thing people don't realize, like Arsenal are the third highest goal scorers out of all clubs in the top 5 European leagues across Europe this year. And I think they sit third or fourth for total open play goals out of every club in that space as well. And yet, the way the media in the country portrays them is they only score from set pieces, and without set pieces, they don't score. Now, there are some nuances with Arsenal. So I think in their last 10 games against teams currently in the top 10, only one attacker has scored a goal, and that was Noni versus Brentford. So it's mainly been their defenders and midfielders scoring their goals in those games.
Didn't Brian and Mbeumo score for you lot?
What do you mean?
What was that stat in terms of the last 10 teams? Didn't Brighton and Mbeumo score for you against Arsenal?
No. So what they're saying is Arsenal's attackers have only.
Oh, sorry. I thought you meant the other way. Sorry.
Last 10 games that Arsenal have played against the current top 10 in the Premier League, they've only had one of their attackers score a goal in those games, and it was Noni Madueke versus Brentford. Now, that's more of an interesting conversation where you can delve into it and go, well, again, the mainstream media have the footage, they have the access, they have the money. Do a breakdown on that. I'd be really interested to know, what is it teams do differently? Where could they improve? Doesn't need to be a hit piece to go, they're shit champ, but it doesn't need to be, they're shit champions because of this. I'd like a deep dive into it. Let rival fans say they're crap champions because of it, or potential champions, haven't won yet. But I just want to see the mainstream media be the media, be the professional pundits, stay in your lane, do what you're great at, rather than trolling.
Because how can you be a crap champion, by the way? How can you be the best in your league, win a league title, be showing your armpits at the end of the year because you're lifting silverware, but be crap? I don't listen. I don't subscribe to that. I think the crap teams, us, Leeds, Forest, West Ham, that are struggling to stay in the Premier League. No,
I totally agree, mate. Look, on Chelsea yesterday, though, we can delve into their disciplinary record if you want, but I want to speak about something else for a moment. All right? I want to speak about something else. Cole Palmer has only scored 3 Premier League goals from open play in the last 14 months. Yes, he's had injuries, and I think it's very important to point out that he's had injuries in that time, and they have, of course, played a part in this. But at the same time, should more be expected from a man that was voted in the top 10 in the Ballon d'Or 12 months ago?
Yes, absolutely. And it's annoying because I defended Cole Palmer time after time after time. You know, and he was a big game player, you know, scoring in the Super Cup for City, you know, Conference League, goal contributions, Club World Cup, Charity Shield, you know, whatever competition final he's played, even the Euro final for England, whenever he's played and the semi-final, he got an assist. In the big stage, he's normally delivered. But the last 12 months, his output hasn't been anywhere near the level. And it's not just him as well. There's a number of top-tier players, like Bukayo Saka's output as well, but his standards aren't what they were. But for Palmer, yeah, absolutely more should be coming. Like, he should be massively underachieving for what he is right now. Top 10 of the Ballon d'Or. Really, really good year last year for Chelsea, winning the Conference League, winning the Club World Cup, performing, finishing the season strong, getting the Champions League. This year, nowhere near the level. Forget the hat-trick or whatever he got against Wolves, which, by the way, was 2 penalties. And I know you still got to convert the penalty. But what was that, 4 open play goals in 13 months? Like, Gabriel has got more open play goals this season Romero has got more open play goals this season than Palmer has and Saka has. That for me is absolutely disastrous. Cole Palmer needs to be criticised, but you never, I don't know about you, but I never hear anything. But if it's Saka, it's everyone's out to get after him. If it's Foden, everyone's out to get after him. But if it's Palmer, everyone just forgets about it.
Yeah, and this is the crazy thing, right? I know he had he didn't really play at he did play at the Club World Cup. He's had injuries the early part of this year, but he didn't last season. You know, I was looking back at this earlier. Let me start this by saying penalty goals are real goals, and I'm not saying they should. Then I'm not removing them from his tally. I'm not someone that sort of says they're not real goals or anything along those lines. I think that's a crazy narrative. But I'm actually a little worried about the player because I rate Palmer highly. And I look back at last season, you know, they beat Wolves 6-2 last season. He assisted 3 and scored 1. You know, he scored against West Ham. He scored 4 goals in a game against Brighton, scored against Newcastle, scored 3 games running against Villa, Southampton, got 2 against Tottenham, scored against Fulham, scored against Palace, scored against Bournemouth. And then when he scored against Bournemouth, that was in the January. And I don't know if that goal was a penalty or not. I'm looking. He then scored only 1 goal the remainder. He had a hamstring injury against Arsenal, to be fair, and missed the game, but he scored 1 goal for the remainder of the Premier League season. You then fast forward into this campaign, and again, it's you kind of go through it, and there was the injuries at the beginning of the season, but he scored against Brentford, and then he was out for a while, to be fair. And then he's got a goal against Everton, he got a goal against Bournemouth, the hat-trick against Wolves, then the goal against Leeds. But I also feel like it's been a lot of poor performances by a player of his standard. Good moments, like he's one of those players that will have a good moment or two in the game, a great touch and a great turn and a bit of skill because he's techie and he passes the eye test. But it's where's that output? I also saw his output against the bigger teams, the sort of the top six, the big six, as you would say, and that isn't particularly great either. I was looking at against Man United. Is pretty. Man United, he scored 4 goals against us in his career. Now I don't know if that's all for Chelsea, but he's got 4 goals against us. Against City, it's just 1 goal. Against Liverpool, 1 goal. Arsenal, he has 2 goals. Against Tottenham, is actually a little bit better, I think, with 3 and 3. But it's a sort of case of, oh no, there's 2 Liverpools on this list.
Everyone scores against us, though, to be fair. Like, scoring against us at the moment isn't...
I'm going to try and find it, actually, because I think I'm looking at something that's wrong here. Blah, 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 blah. Palmer. And I'm just a little bit concerned about him because I view him and think to myself, there's such a player. Yeah, this was it. So Carl Palmer, after today's game, this is Carl Palmer's record versus the big 6 teams in the Premier League. 2 non-penalty goals, 3 assists in 23 games. And I want to see more from him. I want to see more from him in these games, but it isn't just a lack of output. It's the lack of performances. And I am worried because his first 18 months at Chelsea, I do not think it was an overstatement to say that in that 18 months, he was the best, if not in the top 3 players in the Premier League. The last 14 months, it's been almost the complete opposite. He's been so far below his standard. And I know he had injuries at the beginning of the season, but he's a young man. We're now in March. He hasn't been injured now for, let's go and have a little look at this. He came back to playing in December.
Yeah, 3rd of December.
He's had 3 months now of being back in the team. 3 months. I know he had a little thigh problem in January where he missed like a game, I think. He had a little knock and missed a game or 2. But he's been back playing now for the better part of 2 to 3 months. And I want to see more from him. I'm going to be honest with you. I want to see more from Palmer because Chelsea need it. And that's what I thought was missing for Chelsea a lot yesterday. Yes, they... the set pieces that they didn't defend it, but I thought Rob Sanchez had a stinker, especially for the second goal. Yes, I feel the discipline issues have been spoken about a lot with Neto being sent off, and he definitely knew his book, by the way. Anyone who's tuning in, the video footage is there. We can't play it for copyright reasons, but I want to see Palmer step up. João Pedro's been stepping up recently, but you know what? When the team's performing well, if I look at Man United, who've just gone into 3rd place, Bruno's playing out his, by and large, he had a bad game against Everton, but by and large, in the last 2 months, Bruno's playing out his skin. Sesko's playing out his skin. Cunha's playing well. Mbumo's been excellent. Casemiro's been on fire. Maguire and Lissandro, when they were playing together, excellent. Stenner in goal has been great. Even like Delo, that a lot of us don't rate, a right back's been playing. You need players to play well. And I look at Palmer and I just think you need to do more for your team. You're one of their best players. For 18 months, you were just almost unstoppable. And they need more. They need moments from him. And at the end of the day, I know football fans like to hate on moments, but that's what was missing for Chelsea yesterday when they were on top as a team, is the Palmers of this world having moments, picking the ball up, creating half a yard and putting it into the bottom or top corner, like he did in the Club World Cup final. Moment. And he deserves tremendous credit for that, but you can't dine out on that forever. Not at a club like Chelsea. You need to keep delivering. Now, I'm not writing him off. I think there's tremendous talent in there. But at the same time, sometimes a lack of criticism can lead to a little dullness. And I think he maybe needs sharpening a little bit in that way. On Man United going into 3rd, another good win for us. What did you make of United yesterday?
Yeah, I thought first half, I thought Palace played quite well. I thought Lacroix, great header from him. And I thought, got into half time and I thought Palace are a very unpredictable side because, well, the Premier League this year is unpredictable as a whole. We never really know who's going to beat anyone at the moment. Everyone is capable of beating teams. Wolves beat Villa on Friday night, for instance. I look at the Crystal Palace first half and I thought United could be in a bit of bother here. And then obviously Lacroix then gets sent off. Bruno steps up, then gets the assist. Sesko at the moment, looks like no matter what he does, it turns what he touches, it turns to gold. And I said to you on my show that we did on Friday that I think you will end up third this weekend. And you've actually got some interesting games coming up, but I do fancy you boys to finish third or fourth this season. Like I think you'll go to St James's Wednesday and beat Newcastle. But in terms of the performance right now, the last 5 signings you've made with what is it? Lemons, Dorgu, Sesko, Cunha, and Mbumo. Those 5 signings this year have been your 5 best players, other than Bruno Fernandes. They have been absolutely ridiculous signings from Manchester United. You were criticised heavily for not going out there and signing a Maverick. Sesko was criticised heavily. Now the guy physically can't stop scoring. Brian Mbumo, I think yesterday was the first time in 7 or 8 games he hasn't got a goal contribution. Cunha played really well against Everton. Fantastic pass the other night to start the attack into Brian Mbumo. I think everything seems to be clicking right now. And of course, it's all relative, isn't it? Because you are only playing 1 game a week, whereas the other 2 that are in the top 4 race, or the other 3, if you include Villa, are all in Europe still. But that's not necessarily Man United's fault this season because you can only beat what's in front of you. And right now, I think Carrick's won 6 out of 7 games. And you have got an interesting run coming your way. But I do think the way that you are, playing, you've still got to play Chelsea away and Villa. I think right now, I think you'll beat both of them. I think you'll beat Villa and Chelsea the way you're playing.
Look, we've got Newcastle away, we've got Villa at home, and we play Chelsea away. All 3 of those games are losable for this Man United squad because I still think we've got an average to good squad. And I know some United fans who watch the game, why are you being negative? It's not about being negative, I'm being real. I'm also not getting dragged into the negativity from a lot of Reds around, but I'm noticing this red flag and this problem here, and we didn't do this great. I knew things wouldn't be perfect under Carrick. The same as if Luis Enrique was managing this squad, it wouldn't be perfect because the squad has a lot of holes in it. There's a lot more we need. We need more summers like we just had where we improve the midfield. You throw Elliot Anderson and Wharton into our squad and we're a better team no matter who our manager is. Even if Amarim was here, I think our win percentage would go up by 10%. But look, I was so chuffed with yesterday. It was a really bad start. I think we were a little bit nervous and maybe even a little bit overconfident at the same time. A weird concoction of started slowly, conceded, couldn't find our feet, couldn't pass. Towards the end of the first half, we started moving the ball quicker and faster. Came out in the second half, really quick play. Bruno's pass to set up the what was then the foul, but Cunha's going through on goal and he's going to get a shot off from a good angle. Lacroix fouls him. Does he go down soft? Yes. Is he pulled back? Is he fouled? Absolutely. Bruno dispatches the penalty. And then Bruno sets up the goal for Sesko. And it's funny because 3 other times in the game, we put balls into the box and Sesko run towards the back post. And Bruno, listen, a lot of people don't like his arm waving. And I'm like, it's just the way he is. Deal with it. He was saying, run to the front post. Get in front of your striker. He did it for the goal. The ball comes in and he checks back like he's going to run to the back post and then darts ahead of Richards and gets his head on the ball and scores. And the fact he's finding form is really, really important for us. But overall, just absolutely chuffed with how we're playing. We've got a nice cushion, if we can call it that, when you look at the Premier League now, because we have got some tough games like everybody else coming up in the last 10 matches. We've got to remember there's 10 games to go. There's 30 points on offer. Anything can happen in that point, but we're 3 points safe within the top 5, which I think will get a Champions League place. And we are 6 points ahead of Chelsea in 6th, which also then means we're now 8 points ahead of Brentford. And that means potentially falling out of a European position, or that might be 7th might be Conference League this year, because I think 6th place will be Europa and 7th place will be Conference League. So you go that far down, we're actually 11 points away from not being in any type of Europe. And that was our goal at the beginning of the season. Now, I don't want to finish 7th and get into the Conference League. I want to be back in the Champions League. I feel if we could win our next 2 games, if we could beat Newcastle, away is going to be a hard game. They're going to be so up for it. If we could beat Newcastle away and then beat Aston Villa at home, because Aston Villa are in this top 4 race, and we could then find ourselves potentially 6 to 9 points clear of falling out of a Champions League place, I think going into the last 8 games, we'll do it. If you get wrong, I think then we will do it. But yeah, I'm just really blown away. Chelsea have got a very hard run of games. Very, very hard.
I think the top 5 will finish as it is with the teams. I think Villa will get 5th, Liverpool will get 4th, and you'll get 3rd. And I think with Chelsea playing Villa, PSG, Newcastle, PSG, Everton away, City, Man United, and they've still got to play Liverpool and Spurs. Chelsea have got the hardest run of any Premier League team that's battling for Europe between now and the end of the season. They have still got to play 1, 2, 3, 4 of the big 6, and they've still got to play PSG home and away and Villa in there. So, yeah, I don't see them getting Champions League. I think Chelsea will get Europa. The only way that they'll be in the Champions League next year is if they win it, for me.
Mate, you could be right. And that's also why I won't melt down if we have a few setbacks, because I think Villa, Liverpool, and Chelsea, because I don't think Brentford, I know they're only 2 points behind Chelsea. I don't think Brentford will make the top 5. I just don't see Chelsea. I mean, we're 6 points ahead of Chelsea, which means they've got to be a 7-point swing. Do I truly see them picking up 7 more points than us this season? Right now, no. Will we lose? I reckon in our last 10 games, I think we'll lose at least 3 of them. I think we might lose 3 of those games. That being said, we're unbeaten in our last 10. We could go the next 10 games unbeaten. I'd be very happy. But then that means you're talking about a 20-game unbeaten run. I don't know when Man United last went 20 games unbeaten. You're probably talking, it was definitely under Fergie. It hasn't happened before. So
2011, 2012, something like that.
Yeah, something like that. Look, and we won't do that. I don't think we go unbeaten away at Newcastle. I don't think we go unbeaten with Newcastle away, Villa at home, Liverpool at home, Chelsea away. That's just to name a few games. I think we've got a few. I think we go away to Bournemouth, which is quite hard. I think we've still got to go away to Brighton, which is a hard game for us. We ain't got it easy. Do you know what I mean? We haven't got it easy in that regard. But I'm confident we can make the top 4 if we remain focused. You know, if we can keep Benjamin. I mean, the one thing, keep Sesko. If Sesko can keep this run of form going between now and the end of the season, that always gives you a chance. If him and Mbeumo and Cunha, between them, can keep scoring goals the way they are, not all of them every game, and if Bruno can keep creating, we've got a great chance. Viewers, look, I want to thank you all very much for tuning in today. Make sure you go and subscribe to Henry Talks Football. We've collaborated on this video, so if you haven't yet, go and subscribe. Mate, always a pleasure. Thank you very much for being on with us today. Make sure you subscribe to this channel as well. Weekly show here on a Monday, and then on a Friday on Henry Talks Football of No Bias Football. Until next time, take care. Goodbye. God bless. See you soon. Peace.